What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this 9-game NBA slate on Draftkings and PrizePicks.com. If you guys are new here, welcome. If you guys are a returning viewer, welcome back. I kind of hinted at it in the previous videos that I've made. I will be doing giveaways pretty much every day up until Christmas, just to give back to you guys because you make this all able for me to do. So if you guys want to enter that giveaway, it is for $25 this giveaway. There's going to be various amounts throughout. There's definitely going to be way bigger amounts that I'm giving away. Probably not going lower than 25 bucks. So if you guys do want to enter for that $25 giveaway, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and then comment down below literally anything. I will have a randomizer selecting from the comments down below. So you must be subscribed to be eligible. I can see if you're subscribed or not. But yeah, if you guys want to do that, make sure to check back in tomorrow. We'll have a randomizer set up to see who ended up winning that giveaway. But yeah, we have a 9-game slate to go over today. Of course, I will be live streaming like always an hour before lock at 5 p.m. Central Time. I will be going over all the latest breaking injury news because there's going to be plenty of it today after going over the slate. And then I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can, but I appreciate you guys being here. Let's just jump right into it. One last thing before I get into it, this is the first of the month. This is the best time to purchase my Patreon, $25 for the entire month. You get my full FanDuel lineups, my Draftkings FanDuel cheat sheets, my core lineup over on Draftkings, as well as my PrizePicks plays that I play every single day. If you guys tailed my PrizePicks play yesterday in the Patreon and in this video, you probably 3x your money. So let's start off with the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Washington Wizards. We have a 216 over under. The Wizards are currently 4.5 point favorites. The Timberwolves are going to be without Patrick Beverley and Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Noel, and Jared Vanderbilt are questionable. Pretty much this entire team is questionable or out with an illness. So really not much to say as of right now. If Anthony Edwards were to be ruled out, Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell become even better plays than they already are. But definitely need to wait on this injury news, and we'll go over that in the live stream. But with this being the first game of the slate, we're definitely going to get that information ahead of time. Move over to the Washington Wizards. Thomas Bryant, Rui Hachimura, Aaron Holiday are all out. Daniel Gafford for the third straight game. I've been saying it over and over and over again. He's entirely too cheap for the third straight game. He has played more minutes than Montrezl Harrell. Both their minutes got cut back a bit because of the blowout last time, but this game should be competitive. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are the worst rebounding team in the entire NBA, especially when it comes to allowing offensive rebounds. So plenty of putback opportunities for Daniel Gafford in this matchup. Should absolutely smash. I love him at $4,800. Not really considering anybody else on that team. And Gafford's probably going to be very, very low owned. Move over to the Atlanta Hawks versus the Indiana Pacers at 218 over under. The Pacers are currently 1.5 point favorites. The Hawks are going to be without Bogdan Bogdanovic, DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, and then Cam Reddish is also questionable. Solomon Hill started in place of Bogdan Bogdanovic in the second half of the last game, when he was injured in the first half. Didn't play very much. He's not a very good permanent producer. Even if he is starting, I'm not considering him here. And if Cam Reddish is active in this game, he's probably not going to start, but he's going to probably come off the bench, have the highest usage off the bench, and close out this game against the Pacers. And so I would absolutely love Cam Reddish at $3,400 if he is active today. It doesn't matter to me if he's starting or not. I would expect him to not start, and it actually makes a lot more sense bringing that firepower off the bench. So definitely need to monitor the status of Cam Reddish. Kevin Huerter ended up playing 38 minutes last game when Cam Reddish and Bogdan Bogdanovic both left early. So we could expect big minutes out of him if Cam Reddish were to miss. Even with Bogdan Bogdanovic out, he should continue to play mid-30s minutes. He is only $4,400. Those are really the only two guys that I'm considering over here on Atlanta. On the Pacers side, Justin Holiday, TJ Warren are out. Miles Turner is questionable. So TJ McConnell ended up starting for Miles Turner last game. He played low 30s minutes, and pretty good play today if Miles Turner were to be ruled out, because I would expect him to start again, especially with Justin Holiday out. And then we saw Domantas Sabonis slide over to the 5, gets a great matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. So if Miles Turner is ruled out, Domantas Sabonis probably going to make pretty much all of my lineups. Go to the beginning of last year without Miles Turner on the court. He has a 24.3% usage rating, 19.3 total rebound percentage, 25.9 assist percentage, while averaging 1.36 fantasy points per minute. And again, this Atlanta Hawks defense is dreadful, especially in the half court. So Sabonis, Brogdon, LeVert, McConnell, Duarte, all great plays, especially if Miles Turner ends up missing this game. But we're definitely going to get that news ahead of time, considering that game locks at 6 p.m. Central Time. Move over to the Denver Nuggets versus the Orlando Magic. A 209 over-under. The Nuggets are currently 8-point favorites. The Nuggets are going to be without Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Austin Rivers, Bones Highland, PJ Dozier, and then JaMychal Green is questionable. He ended up missing last game, but Jokic ended up returning last game with no hiccups. He was completely fine, played his full complement of minutes for the most part. There is some blowout risk, I suppose, in this matchup, but as long as Jokic is healthy, he's probably my favorite spend-up option on the slate. Giannis is pretty close up there as well, given his matchup, but Jokic, he's averaging 1.8 fantasy points per minute since the beginning of last year with no Jamal Murray and no Michael Porter Jr. on the court. So I love Nikola Jokic here. The rest of the team is priced up pretty severely because Jokic has missed so many games and Michael Porter Jr. is out. But Jokic is back, so they're not very deserving of these price tags. So I'm not really considering anybody outside of Nikola Jokic. Monte Morris, though, since they are without Austin Rivers and Bones Highland and PJ Dozier, and they are so thin in the backcourt that they are going to need to play him pretty big minutes today. And so it's a very good matchup against the Orlando Magic. I love the over Monte Morris, 23.5 fantasy points. I'm not really considering him on FanDuel or Draftkings, but over here on PrizePicks, I think this projection is a bit too low. He should play, 32, 34 minutes. He has not been very active on the court, but given the playing time in the matchup and how thin they are in the backcourt, I like the over on Monte Morris. Keep watching this video, and I'll give away another play. Again, guys, I'm giving away these plays for free every single day in these videos, so it pays to come back and watch them. We crushed it yesterday with the over on Scotty Barnes, and, I'm missing it off the top of my head on the other player that we hit pretty easily. Oh, it was Desmond Bane, and that hit easily as well for 3x your money. So if you guys want to tail me over here and support the channel, make sure to sign up and deposit using code TAYLOR, TAYLOR, when signing up and depositing for a 100% match bonus up to $100. Also, one more thing to note on the Denver side, Facundo Campazzo has actually been playing pretty big minutes off the bench recently, and now there's no Austin Rivers and Bones Highland, so he's their only ball handler off the bench and likely plays around 28 minutes. He's a pretty good permanent producer, $3,900, a tournament-only option, but could definitely play somebody worse at that price tag. Move over to the Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs, Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, and Etuan Moore. They are all out today, but Cole Anthony is returning. So I'm not sure if Cole Anthony is going to be on a minutes limit or not, but not really considering anybody against this Denver Nuggets team who has been very good defensively this year when Jokic is on the court. They've been very good in terms of defensive rating, so I'm not really considering anybody here. Franz Wagner has had a lot larger offensive role recently, but that was without Cole Anthony. But now Jalen Suggs is out and Cole Anthony is back, so we could see a similar situation from Franz Wagner, but more of a secondary option for me today. Get the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics at 206.5 over under. The Celtics are currently 3-point favorites. Yeah, everybody's priced appropriately, maybe a little bit too much considering that Joel Embiid had missed like 9 games in a row, and so everybody's priced up somewhat. So I'm not really considering anybody from the Philly side, especially given that they are only projected to score just over 100 points in a slow-paced matchup against the Celtics. On the Celtics side, Jaylen Brown is questionable. I'm expecting him to play. He has been questionable every game since returning from his injury. They have been taking it very slowly with him, but his minutes have slowly been creeping up. He would have played around 30 minutes last game, it looked like, but the backup unit was playing very good. It kept some of the starters, especially Jaylen Brown, off of the court, so I'm not really considering anybody on this team on DraftKings or FanDuel, but over on PrizePicks, I'm going to go ahead and take the over on Jaylen Brown at 30 fantasy points. I know he is questionable. I'm expecting him to play. If he ends up not playing, the bet will just be voided. You won't lose any money. You'll get your money back. But I'm going to pair Jaylen Brown over 30 fantasy points with the over Monty Morris 23.5 fantasy points. That is my official play today. I've already posted it over on Patreon. So that's what we're rolling with today. If you guys want to tail me over here, make sure to sign up and deposit using code Taylor. If you guys have already signed up, deposited, thank you for doing that. That really, really helps me out. But yeah, hopefully we can continue to win some money over here on Prize Picks. Move over to the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Miami Heat at 206 over under. The Heat are currently 5.5 point favorites. The Cavaliers are going to be without Colin Sexton, Dean Wade, and Chetty Osman. Very tough matchup on the road against the Miami Heat. Depending on how healthy that Heat team is, will determine on who I end up playing from this Cleveland team. If the Miami Heat team is healthy, I'm not really considering anybody here because, while they're missing Sexton, Osman, Dean Wade, we know all the production is going to come from the starting lineup, maybe outside of Isaac Okoro and then Ricky Rubio off the bench. But as of right now, I'm not really considering anybody from this Cleveland team. On the Miami Heat team, it's hard to say anything about them. They do start only 30 minutes after lock, so we should get this news before lock during the stream. Victor Oladipo, Markieff Morris are out. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, and Dwayne Dedmon are questionable. And then Tyler Hero is probable to return. So my interest in this team is entirely indicative of who is in and who is out. So definitely need to wait on that news. But yeah, it is pretty weird that Duncan Robinson, they just paid this guy an absolute bag not too long ago. And consistently, even with Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler out last game, he didn't even close the game in the fourth quarter. So very scary situation for Duncan Robinson. Probably not considering him in any regard today. Move over to the Charlotte Hornets versus the Milwaukee Bucks. By far the best game environment on the entire slate. A 231 over under. The Bucks are currently 9-point favorites. Mason Plumlee is out, which is a very, very good thing. Cody Martin is questionable. Nick Richards ended up starting last game. I think it was due to the size of Nikola Vucevic. They kind of just wanted to match his size to begin the halves. He only played 7 minutes, and that was in two very short stints to begin the half. And so outside of Nick Richards playing 7 minutes, they only ran a 7-man rotation outside of that. So they are running a very, very tight rotation, especially if Cody Martin ends up missing this game again. If Cody Martin ends up playing, Jalen McDaniels ended up playing 27 minutes off the bench last game with no Cody Martin. But I think McDaniels' minutes would take a pretty big hit if he definitely would if Cody Martin were to play. But absolutely love this game environment. I think the Bucks players are the best plays on the entire slate. You're gonna want to bring it back with some of these guys. I love LaMelo Ball at 10.4K. I think people continue to think this is too expensive for him. It's just not. I think this is a very affordable price tag. And then PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre should play 30 plus minutes in this game. PJ Washington came off the bench last game, still played over 30 minutes, put up a pretty decent fantasy score. Kelly Oubre, a similar situation. 54 and 5100 is entirely too cheap in this game environment. Don't mind Gordon Hayward as well at 6300. But then we move over to the Milwaukee Bucks, where I really have a ton of interest in. Brook Lopez, Dante DiVincenzo, and Semi Ojeleye. They are all out today. The best matchup on the entire slate. The Hornets are 3rd in pace this year, 5th in defensive rating. And if you look at the last 3 games, they have missed Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee, like I just mentioned, is out again today. Have been so bad on defense. They just allowed over 140 points in overtime to the Houston Rockets a couple of games ago. I'll actually just look at the scores of these games. And without Mason Plumlee, the last 3, 133 to 115, 143 to 146, 119 to 133. The NBA has been very, very low scoring this year, but the Charlotte Hornets have been just conceding a ton of points. So in the last 3 games without Mason Plumlee, the Hornets have a 126.3 defensive rating in the past 3 games. Obviously, that is a small sample size, but it is very telling of what they are doing at the current moment. Just to put that into perspective, the Memphis Grizzlies have the worst defensive rating in the entire NBA at 113.7. So that's like 13 points higher that the Hornets are playing defense at. So it is incredible how bad the Hornets have been so far this year, and they are absolutely flying without Mason Plumlee on the court. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, Probably my favorite spin up option on this slate. Him and Nikola Jokic is very tough. Obviously, they're up to like 12K, so unless more value breaks, I'm probably not getting up to these guys. But Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Bobby Portis are three of probably core plays for me, especially Drew Holiday and Bobby Portis. All of them should play, 32 to 34 minutes, assuming this game is competitive. I know it's currently a 9-point spread with Milwaukee being at home, but even through 3 quarters, I definitely think these guys can get it done, because if they're blowing them out in 3 quarters, they probably already put up 100 plus points. Definitely possible to see that today. So gonna want to get a bunch of pieces from guys like Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Bobby Portis. Move over to the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. A 215.5 over under. The Thunder are currently 2.5 point favorites. The Houston Rockets are going to be without Jalen Green, DJ Augustin, and Usman Garuba. All of the offensive production has solely come from Christian Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. I'm going to continue to go back to the well with these guys. I think they are in a very strong matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not very good defensively, but without Jalen Green, it just intensifies how tight this production is between those two players. So I love going back to the well with them. Jayshawn Tate definitely in play as well at 5,400. And then Garrison Matthew has been serviceable as the starter in the last 2 games without Jalen Green. Move over to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Derek Favors and Kenrich Williams are out. Mike Muscala is questionable. The Rockets are the fastest team in the league, the highest pace in the NBA. Isaiah Roby ended up playing more minutes than Jeremiah Robinson Earl last game, 26 minutes to 21 minutes. They split all 48 of those center minutes. But if the game did not blow out, it would have been flipped, and Jeremiah Robinson Earl would have ended up playing more minutes than Isaiah Roby. I think some people are going to chase Isaiah Roby. I think in a normal scenario, he's probably only going to play like 18 to 22 minutes, or 18 to 22 minutes in this game. Has always been a pretty good per minute producer, but he does eat up a center spot, so I'm probably not going to Isaiah Roby. The only guys that I'm considering on this team are probably Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at $8,300 and Lugan Store at $5,600. Move over to the Dallas Mavericks versus the New Orleans Pelicans at 215.5 over under. The Mavericks are currently 3-point favorites. The Mavericks are going to be without Frank Ntilikina, Willie Cauley-Stein, and then Kristaps Porzingis is questionable. He did go through most of shoot around this morning, so I'm expecting him to play. If he were to miss that game, Maxi Kleber, Luka Doncic, and Jalen Brunson would get pretty considerable bumps today. The Pelicans have the 6th worst defensive rating in the entire NBA, but not much interest from that team unless Kristaps Porzingis ends up missing. Move over to the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion Williamson is out. Josh Hart is questionable. Nickeil Alexander-Walker would see more minutes if Josh Hart were to miss this game. I would expect a guy probably like Garrett Temple to end up starting in place of Josh Hart if he missed. And then coming off the bench and playing more minutes, he would be a pretty decent play. And then Brandon Ingram, I mentioned it last video, the previous 2 years, he's had a true shooting percentage of over 58%. But this year, he's hovering around 50%. He finally put together an efficient game last game because we know the volume has been there. The efficiency just hasn't. He shot 12 for 18, which is obviously very good. Ended up putting up over 40 fantasy points. So at $7,500, I think there is definitely value to be had there if he continues to be efficient. Move over to the last game of the slate, the Sacramento Kings versus the Los Angeles Clippers at 216.5 over under. The Clippers are currently 8-point favorites. The Kings are going to be, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, and Maurice Harkless are all questionable tonight. So definitely need to wait on that injury news to consider anybody here outside of Rashawn Holmes, who I think is entirely too cheap at $5,800. Alvin Gentry was not happy with Alex Len and Damian Jones and Tristan Thompson. These centers that were replacing Rashawn Holmes recently. Rashawn Holmes ended up returning, immediately played over 33 minutes against the Lakers, did very well in that time, was very, very aggressive, and that's what Alvin Gentry wants to see. So at $5,800, that just seems like a peculiar price tag to me. Move over to the Clippers. They are going to be without Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum, and Jason Preston. Appears the center minutes actually are gravitating towards the likes of Serge Ibaka more so than Ivica Zubac, especially last game we saw Ibaka get up to 25.5 minutes. and he is only $3,500. If that continues to move in that direction, this is a great matchup against the Kings, especially from a rebounding perspective. And when Serge Ibaka is out there on the court, he's going to be facing backups like Alex Len, and I think he will absolutely murder him, bringing him outside of the paint and out towards the 3-point line. So if Serge Ibaka gets a good matchup, he performs well, he's going to earn more minutes, and he is a very, very sneaky tournament option for me tonight. I think him and Paul George are the only two guys that I'm really considering from the Clippers tonight. Reggie Jackson, more of a secondary play for me. But I appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you guys want to enter that giveaway, make sure to subscribe, comment, and like this video. And I will be live at 5 p.m. Central Time to break down all the latest breaking injury news, as well as answering as many questions as I possibly can. But I appreciate you guys being here. Best of luck tonight, and until next time, peace.